Greetings and welcome to Northworthy. Now today, for the very first time on the channel, I am going to tell you a folk tale from Japan. A country and a land I would very much like to go and travel to and film for the channel, for their history in Japan is just amazing and legendary. So come with me on a journey and I'll tell you the tale of Isomboshi and the giant. Now our story revolves around a man who was that tiny and that small he could fit into this cup of wood. I'm sure you agree, well, that's not a very big man, it is tiny. And Isomboshi, well, he was no good at working in the fields, for he was too tiny at that. And he couldn't do much work around the house. But he had a very wise grandmother, who one day decided that Isomboshi must go to the big city to train to be a samurai warrior. And so this is what happened. Before Isomboshi left, his mother gave him a little cup of wood, just like this, to use as a boat. She then gave him 2 long pieces of rice to use as oars. And his father, who was a mighty warrior himself and a samurai, gave him a little pin to use as a sword. And so this little tiny warrior, he got his little stuff ready, he got a little bit of food in a leather satchel, and he put the little cup into a stream and got the 2 grains of long rice to be used as oars, and in his boat he had the pin which he used as a sword. He had many adventures on the way to the big city, for in those times there was bandits and all manner of creatures, and a frog to Isomboshi was the size of a giant to him. And I'm sure you agree, if you are a tiny little man, you don't want to be attacked by a giant frog. And so he journeyed for days and days. In fact, he learnt how to survive in the wilds. He learnt how to make fire. He learnt how to catch food, little tiny fish he would catch, which to him was massive. He ate well. And he learnt all the skills of survival whilst going on this journey. Eventually, after some days and many nights of sleeping around the fire in this little cloak he had, he came to the place where the big city, the town was. In fact, first of all, he was on a hill, he looked down at it. It was massive to him. It was the biggest place he has ever seen in his life, with thousands of buildings. And he thought to himself, oh, whoa, what joy it's going to be. Think of all the people I'm going to meet, all the places, all the history. And he couldn't wait to be trained as a samurai warrior. And I'm sure you agree, if that is your path to be on, it is a very honourable path, and the samurais themselves are an amazing culture. And so he came to the gates of the big city thinking he was going to be greeted by guards on the outside protecting the entrance, the big doorway, but there was nobody there. He thought, well, he looked round outside the gates, there was nobody there in the fields, there was no traders, no market stalls. Often market traders would trade outside the city. He went through the double gates. For him, there was massive. There was leagues high in height. He'd never seen doors as big as this before. And he went into the streets. But again, there was nobody about. He looked around. He thought, well, where's everybody? Such a massive town and city. There should be thousands of people. There should be people in the streets having a good time drinking nice wine. There should be people trading, craftsmen, warriors, guards and women doing their daily thing. But yet he found and saw nobody. He thought, well, something very strange is going on. He looked in the distance down this street, and at the end was a very old house. And he thought, I'm going to go in and ask, look for people, because I must know where I'm going, where I'm going to be trained as a warrior. Of course, he left his little boat by the stream, fastened up for future use. The boat made from a wooden cup, a bit like this, turned on a lathe. And so he came to this big house, and the door was open, and he went in. And in the back, behind the hearth, there was all these people. They was all scared. They was crowding down in a corner of the building. And then a man saw this little warrior and said, "Who are you?" And he explained who he was and where he came from. He said, "I have come. My grandmother has sent me to be a samurai." And he said, "Well, we got bigger problems at that at the moment," he says, "for we are being terrorised by this massive giant. A giant comes every day, he takes our cattle, he eats our sheep, and drinks our rice wine. And we've had the warriors go out and attack him, but nobody can beat this giant. No matter how many times the samurais have got together, they could not take this giant down, for he was massive, the biggest giant anybody had ever seen. And in this tale, the giant remains nameless." So our little warrior thought, whoa, I'm not going to let some giant bully me. I've come to be a samurai, and I'm going to go and find that giant and attack him and take him out and save the city. And so this is what he did. He got his little sword made from a pin, and he went out of the gates he walked through. He looked around and said, "Whoa, where's this giant?" He said, "He can't be that big, I can't see him." Then suddenly, in the distance, he heard a thump, and a thump. Bang, bang, bang. And it kept on repeating, loud, thudding steps, for it was indeed the giant who was walking towards the city to have his daily food, to eat some more cow, to take some sheep to cook, and to drink barrels and barrels of rice wine. And so the giant came up to the city, and Imboshi was standing on a road, and he shouted up, "Oi, you big giant, what are you doing? Go away, we don't want you round here." And the giant looked down, and Imboshi, the little warrior, looked up. The giant was so big, he had never seen anything the size of a giant before. This giant was enormous. In fact, his feet was as big as a big house. But that did not stop little brave Imboshi of attacking the giant. And so he got his little pin out, and he started to stab the giant. He jumped on his feet and started to stab away, and stab at his legs, and he climbed up his leg and stabbed further, and he kept on stabbing the giant with his little pin. Thousands and thousands of times. The giant was very annoyed. He could not stop this little man from attacking him. He tried to brush him off, but the little man was so fast, he could dodge all his blows, and he could not be attacked by the giant. And eventually, the giant fell over and died from 1,000 little cuts from the little pin, the little sword, which this little mighty warrior had. Then all the people came out. They was joyful. "Hooray, you have saved the day. You have stopped the giant from terrorising our city." And from that day, this little tiny warrior who could fit into a cup felt as big as a giant. And he found where the samurai were, and they welcomed him, for they said that he was a hero. And he became the biggest warrior of all time. So that is the tale of little Imboshi, the tiniest and mightiest of the Japanese warriors and samurai. And still today his legacy lives on. And this tale is doing that for him. So I hope you enjoyed this story. If you're from Japan, then please do subscribe to the channel. For on this channel we love our folk tales, and I intend to tell more from Japan in the future, for they are wonderful tales to tell. And from me, I am Braggy, a storyteller, an Anglo-Saxon and later a Viking. It is goodbye, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye. And as always, I went the wrong way.